Meet Zoomlock, the 10-second flame-free refrigerant fitting from Parker. Reduce labor costs by 60% with no brazing, no flame, and no fire spotter. Discover how Zoomlock can help you be more efficient and productive. Visit Zoomlock.com for more information.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Israel HVAC podcast. I'm coming to you live from the closet with my wife is here with me, Candace. Candace, how's it going?
Good.
So this week we got a great show for you guys. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I've been trying to get Greg Fox from Fox Family Heating and Air on the podcast, and we finally made that happen. Turned out to be a great interview. Very excited about it. I really think you guys are going to enjoy it. But before we get into that, boy, man, what a crazy week it's been. It's been up and down, up and down. This day's been decent busy. This day was really busy. This day wasn't so busy. It's just been up and down, up and down. Like today, for instance.
It was 95 degrees today.
Yeah, it was 95 with a heat index of about 105. So, we're out running calls. When we started the morning off, we had two. We had two calls. And we ended up with three more. One of them was one, I find this very interesting. I always love when this happens. I have a customer. Tomorrow we're going to go change his outside unit. 2 years ago, I replaced the air handler because the evaporator was leaking refrigerant. And I told him, I gave him two separate quotes at that time. I gave him a quote to change just the air handler and to change the whole system. But I highly recommended that he change the whole system because of the shape that the outdoor coil was in. Or the outdoor condenser, I should say, is what I meant to say. The condenser coil was smashed in a bunch of places, and the compressor didn't sound too healthy even 2 years ago. But he opted to go with just the air handler and let the condenser ride out. He said he thought he could get about 5 or 6 more years out of it. I told him I very seriously doubted that. Well, it's been almost 2 years to the day, and he called me today.
No, his wife called yesterday.
Yeah, his wife called yesterday and simply wanted a maintenance done on it and said that the outside unit was making noise. I said, okay, well, I'll come out tomorrow, which is today, which was yesterday, if you're listening to this right now. Anyway, well, I called her this morning because I got overloaded with calls, and I said, well, she's just a maintenance, Candace. I said, we'll put her off for Friday or Thursday. We'll put her off because she's got air. So we called her to put her off, Candace did, and she told Candace that her outside unit had just quit completely.
She had woke up at 4 this morning. I guess she works, late.
No, she works. She starts off work early in the morning.
Yeah. Well, she said it was 78 degrees in her house at 4 o'clock this morning.
Right. So Candace says, okay, we'll be out there. And I said, Candace, I told you to reschedule it. And Candace was like, well, we can't because she said the outdoor unit shut down completely. And I was like, oh, shit. I said, okay, well, then we're going to have to go. So anyway, we made our way. And the reason I'm talking about this particular job is because this is the most interesting one that I have for y'all. So we get out there, and sure enough, the outdoor unit shut down. The air handler's running.
It's 90 degrees in the house by this time.
90 degrees in the house. I can hear the contactor humming, and I made sure, and I can visibly see that the dual run capacitor is blown. I mean, you could see it. It was popped.
It was kind of swollen too.
It was very swollen. It was popped. I told Cass to go to the truck and get me another dual run, and so she went and got me the dual run, the size that I needed. I popped it on there. The system fired right up, compressor and fan motor, but I could hear the compressor was just. You know how your compressor makes that noise like when it's straining? So I popped on the Z manifold or the C manifold, cowboy manifold that me and Zach have. And the compressor had bit the dust. She was running, but she wasn't pumping. We had equal pressures. We had 150 over 150. she was dead. And I said, well, bud, you should have changed it 2 years ago when I told you to, when we did the air handler, because I told you this thing was going to go out. And the whole time, but before I even fired it up, Candace is kind of about 20 feet away from me talking to the customer. And I'm sitting there screwing in the new dual run. And I could see out the corner of my eye, I see the customer lean over to tell Candace something. And I could hear him. He didn't think I could hear him, but I did. He leans over to Candace and he says, man, I hope that thing's not shot. He told me to replace that thing 2 years ago, and I guess I should have done it. And Candace, I don't know what Candace said back to him. Did you say anything back to him after that?
I said, I don't know yet if it's shot or not. I mean, I'm not the AC tech.
So anyway,
I'm just the one to keep them company while you're working on it.
So anyway, I heard him say that, and I'm thinking in my head, yep, you sure should have. But anyway, I popped the dual run on there, and before I put the disconnect in, I said, okay, man, you might have got lucky here, but remember, you need to change this thing out. He's like, yeah, I know. So I popped the disconnect in there, and then, just like I just said, I heard the noise. I popped the gauges on there, running 150 over 150 equal pressures, running but not pumping. So it just goes to show you that we have to do what the customer wants. The customer's always right in this business. And he chose to leave that outdoor unit. I'm not going to argue with the guy. Now I got another job to do. So it's all good. I'm not upset. I'm not upset with the guy. He got 2 extra years out of it. So maybe that was 2 extra years they had to save money for it. You never know. So it is what it is. But the unit is dead now. And we will be replacing it. And we'll be doing a YouTube video on it. And we're going to use the Sporlan Pro R tool to charge this unit. So that'll be the first time I use the Sporlan Pro R tool. I'm looking forward to using it. And it should be a very simple change out. He's total electric. He's got a straight air conditioner. I'm going to put him in a heat pump. Change the thermostat, put a heat pump stat, and put a heat pump outdoor unit. And I'm going to use the Sporlan Pro R tool to charge it because I haven't used it yet. And he should be good to go. And and that's about it. Everything else has been drains. We've done we did
What about the upstairs house that we went to this morning?
Oh, well, that's Dad's buddy. My dad's got a buddy that's got this guest house. It's built all out of metal. And the air is just not big enough. I mean, by square footage, the unit is plenty big. But because the lack of insulation and the amount of heat that is pouring into the upstairs, the unit's too small to keep up. So we're going to have to upsize it to a 1/2 ton. That's all that was.
Because you can't put more insulation because it has no attic.
There's no way.
Insulation that's that's it.
There's no way to get to it to insulate it. So we're going to bump it up a 1/2 ton. It's got a 2 ton in it. We're going to put a 2.5. And that's pretty much it. The little 2 ton's doing everything that it can. After that, we blew out 2 drains. We did a drain for one lady, and then we did a drain at an apartment complex that I've did a lot of videos on. And then after that is when we headed out
to Dry Prong,
to the country in a town called Dry Prong, Louisiana, to do that condensing unit that I told the man that should have been replaced when I did the air handler. And come to find out, the dual run had blown, put the new dual run on, compressor was dead. So that's pretty much, that was today's day, which is yesterday if you're listening to the podcast right now. Other than that, it's been just basic service, capacitors, contactors, stuff like that, nothing special. But I'm really excited. We're going to get into this interview with Greg Fox. We talked about a little bit of everything. We talked about how Fox has grown his business, and and the future of his company, and a bunch of other things that I'm not gonna spoil the whole interview.
Yeah, it was a great interview. Great interview.
It was. Fox did a really good job. He definitely was not shy, and
went into very good detail.
Yep, he went into very good detail about things, and so, anyway, I just want to thank you guys for the support of the new direction that I'm taking the podcast in. And right now we're going to get into the interview with Greg, and I hope you guys enjoy the interview. All right, guys. Well, I'm here with Greg Fox. I've been very excited to get this interview done, and he's finally had the time to join me. Greg, how are you, buddy?
Good, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing very well. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to join me.
I really just appreciate the opportunity to be interviewed by you and be associated with your YouTube channel. I've been watching you since I started my business.
Right.
So it's quite an honor.
Oh man, well that's no problem. I mean, I feel the same way. I've been a huge fan of your stuff ever since you came out with it. For those of you that haven't watched Greg, you need to go to YouTube and check out Fox Family Heating and Air's YouTube channel. Greg's got some great content on there. But I tell you what though, Greg, man, you're doing really good on YouTube, man, because I was doing, some research on your channel, and it looks like you uploaded your first video about November of 15.
I remember that video well.
Yeah, so you've been on YouTube about a year and a half, give or take. You have 3,600 subscribers.
Yeah.
But that's not bad, because you have surpassed 3 people that have been on YouTube for 7 years. You've passed up HVAC in South Carolina. He's been on YouTube for 7 years. He's only got like 26 or 2,700 subs. You've passed up Mike Palace, who's been on YouTube for a long time.
Love Mike.
And you've passed up Dizzy Dallas. I don't know if you know who Dizzy Dallas is.
Yeah, I don't think I know him so much more personally, but I know Mike Palace, and I really like him. So.
Right. You've passed all 3 of those guys up, and they've all been on YouTube for 5+ years. So you're doing really good on YouTube, man.
It's cool. I really enjoy making the videos.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. A lot of people don't realize how much fun it is.
I'm a bit of a type A personality anyways, so to be able to look into the camera and shoot the videos, and it's entertaining to me.
Oh yeah, to us also. I mean, you have great videos. We all enjoy watching them. So here's the main, what everybody wants to know, when you interview somebody on one of these things. How did you get into the trade? How did you get into HVAC?
Well, I was first of all, growing up, my dad was an HVAC technician. He was a civil engineer in the Army.
Right.
So he worked on Fort Harrison in Indianapolis, Indiana. It was an Army base, and so I got to follow him around. He was obviously working on big like the dorms that the soldiers used to live in. Right. Hospitals. Just big buildings. So he used to work in a hospital. Used to work on this. I remember this when I was a kid. I just remember I wasn't. You know how you're not old enough to remember stuff, but right. I do remember looking up and seeing this huge boiler. Like my dad used to work on that. And so that was pretty cool. And so then he worked on the Army base, and I used to follow him around. I mean, I used to have to, we used to go to his house every other weekend, and if he worked some overtime, then I had to go with him, hang out, carry his tool bag, ride around in his yellow truck, the Army truck and stuff. And I thought that was cool. So, then, fast forward later on in life, I graduated high school and went into the Air Force. I had a mechanical aptitude, became an aerospace ground equipment mechanic in the Air Force, and that's what they had me do for 4 years. Right. And we used to work on some pretty cool stuff, John. We used to work on the most cool thing we worked on was the Dash 60 jet turbine generator. Right. And it was a generator that was powered by a jet turbine engine, and so it would provide compressed air. It would provide 440 electricity for the jets on the runway while they were testing. And so That was probably the coolest thing. We used to work on hydraulic test stands. We used to work on Dash 86 diesel generators that would also provide 440. So
Wow.
big, like imagine like a semi truck engine, um, that big of an engine,
Right.
and then that's producing 440 volts of electricity. So we used to do the scheduled and unscheduled inspections of that. We used to work on bomb lifts. We used to work, bomb lifts basically like mini cars, and they have like a boom that would lift the missiles up onto the planes.
Right.
So I got it. That got me into pneumatics, hydraulics, electricity. We used to work on air conditioners and heaters, little mobile portable light stands and things like that. So I've always had like a mechanical aptitude. And then I get out of the Air Force and I get into the bar industry for about 15 years.
Right.
I'm a door host, and then I'm a bar back, and then I'm a bartender for like 15 years. That's how I met Melissa, was bartending. Moved out to California from Indiana to be with Melissa. Continued bartending out here for another 12 years. And then by the time I hit 35, I just, I don't know, something in me just said, I'm kind of done with bartending. So,
Right.
I'm married, I got my kids, and it's just, I was just over it. So I woke up one morning, I saw a company, a local company who was advertising a job fair, and I didn't know anything about HVAC, residential HVAC. And I'd been out of the Air Force for, probably, I guess 15. I mean, I've been out of the Air Force for 12 years or so.
Right.
So, anyways, I'd been long separated from the Air Force, and
Right.
and to get into the air, and then to get back into HVAC, I really didn't know anything. So, I let them know that I wanted to be in the job fair. There was probably like 30 people in the room, and we all got to go around one by one. Why do you want to work for this company? And I'm like, and what kind of mechanic or technician do you want to be? So I'm the very last person back in the back row.
Right.
And all these people get to, I want to be a service technician and blah, 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 blah. Next person gets up, I want to be a service technician and I want to blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I want to be a maintenance technician because I'm a blah, blah, blah. And blah, blah, blah. Not one person in there is saying I want to be an installer,
Right.
like not one person.
Right.
So I'm seeing the thing here, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm different. So when they get back to me, and they had told us, we're the jobs available are, technician, maintenance, and installer level 1.
Right.
And so by the time it gets back to me, I'm like, I want to be a level 1 installer, like I just want to learn from you guys. And, my dad was a civil engineer in the Army, did HVAC. I really enjoyed watching him and doing the things that he did. So, I guess I made an impression there, because I remember them looking at each other like, this guy wants to be an installer. All right.
Yeah.
So, and I needed a job. I honestly needed a job. They hired me for $10 an hour.
Right.
And I went and, they hired me. I went through my drug screen, background check. And, so they tell me to, hey, show up here in this used uniform. And, and the lead installer on the job for that day is going to call you and tell you where to meet him.
Right.
So he calls me and he's like, hey, this is Josh. I need you to meet me at the shop at 6 a.m. and bring all your tools. So I'm like, yeah, bring all my tools. What tools? So I did. I literally showed up that first day of work with a Phillips head screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, a pair of dikes, and a little pouch that held those 3 items in there.
Right.
And that's what I showed up to my first day of work in. So that's how I got into HVAC. I got into it not having any technical school,
Right.
not having any knowledge of how to do any of that stuff. But you know what I learned, John, was that's the way to get into HVAC. I really feel like that's the way to get into HVAC. Immerse yourself and install. learn how the equipment is being put in.
I agree.
To code, and then become a technician, because you'll be able to diagnose so many more problems in the real world as a technician.
Right.
Once you've installed for a couple of years, just a couple of years.
I agree.
I mean?
I couldn't agree more, because when I got into it, I got into it because of my father. Everybody knows that. He's been doing it for about right at 40 years. And, when he started me out, I did nothing but change outs, and then I transitioned over into service later in life. So, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. But, so the YouTube, how did that come about? The kind of like a little two-part question here.
I'm glad you asked that.
What made you want to start doing YouTube, and also, like, who did you find first in the HVAC community? And made you say, "Hey, I want to start doing that."
Honestly, John, it was I used to watch Dr. Z first.
Yeah.
Like, he was, when I first started HVAC, I was like YouTubing things like that, and I came across Dr. Zarklov. I even remember responding to one of his videos saying, like, if I double trap a condensate line, is that a bad thing?
Right.
And he's like, yeah, that's not very good, and turned out like a week later, I ended up getting the call back to go out, because we did end up double trapping that primary drain line. So I used to watch him, and that was it. That's the only people I was watching. And then when I realized I wanted to become a businessman and run my own HVAC company, that's when I stumbled upon the Cowboys of HVAC. I ran into Zach, and I saw Zach, and then I saw Steve, and I saw John, and I saw Ralph, and
right.
I saw those four guys. I saw by then, so I could just binge watch all of it, and it was great. I loved watching Zach and his his calm presence, and he's entertaining, and he's and I'd loved watching your videos, because you would get like really intense on some stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, I think you and I have similar personalities when it comes to getting upset at people.
Right.
You may not know that side of me, but that side is there.
Right.
I can be a pretty intense person. And then Ralph, obviously, Steve Lav, watching his videos.
Oh yeah.
You guys are, to me, you guys are the classic guys. I really, I don't know how much I learned. I learned a lot from, I learned what it took to be a small businessman from like Zach and his videos, and from you and your videos, because you guys were talking about, and I think I was Googling, starting a small HVAC company, or HVAC business, and Zach had videos on it. You had videos on it that you were talking about.
Right.
Ralph was like, talking about things like that as well. And Steve Laff definitely had his videos on, what it's like to run a business, and so, and I just kind of figured if you guys could do it, maybe I could do it, because it did seem like, the internet is the way of the future, obviously, right? It's here now, and I think that people are going to, I think, new customer. It's basically free advertising for us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, our customers may not watch all the videos we put out, but I've gotten, like, my Quiet Cool Whole House fan video got like started out at the summer with like 7,000 views, and just over the summer it got an additional 8,000 views, and is now my number 5 video of all time.
Wow. That was going to be my next question. Have you picked up any work or a lot of work from YouTube?
Yeah, we've gotten plenty of people who have called and said, hey, we watched that video of you. I saw a video, and you guys just happened to be in the Sacramento area.
Right.
It was a video of you guys moving a compressed, moving a condensing unit, so I can pour my concrete pad and then move it back, and
right.
And I was like, oh wow, you saw that? That's awesome, know. And so, yeah, we wanted to know how much would that be to do that, and
it's very cool when the phone rings and they say, hey, I saw a video you did on YouTube, and
it is,
that to me, that's just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's worth it right there.
Totally, because it's free. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's free.
So you have far surpassed myself and Zach and all of us as far as growing the business. Because how long have you been in business? A year and a half?
Yeah, November 2015 when we started that first video.
Okay. So roughly a year and a half.
Yeah.
You went from, just like me and Zach and Ralph and Steve, one truck, one man. Now you have 4 trucks on the road and 2 women.
Yeah.
What is your secret?
Well, the phone keeps ringing for us, and I think one of the things is, like, in the metropolitan areas that we live in, I think the internet is such a dominant presence that, you know, people see your Google reviews, your Facebook reviews, your Yelp reviews, and then if you can just get that trickle going, if you can just get like 20 reviews, you know, 15, 20 reviews on those sites, like I don't know how popular Yelp is in your side of town, but
it's not popular at all.
In the metropolitan areas like Sacramento that we're in, it seems to have a huge presence. You know, like it's just everybody who's anybody is kind of looking for reviews. Like when I go out to dinner, you know, pull up Yelp and, you know, what's around here, and then what's their reviews. So we've been able to work up 80 5-star reviews on Yelp. We have, like, I don't know, 15 or 20 on Google, and then 7 or 8 on Facebook. They seem to be a little bit harder, but every house we go to, we're asking for that review.
Absolutely,
and So, and that's what seems to be keeping the phone ringing. I'm not paying. We started out paying some companies for that review generation,
right?
And that didn't seem to be working. We just seemed to be paying money to somebody, but we were still doing all the work. I think it really comes down to you just as you're closing out the call, you know, or as you're doing the repair, mention to them, hey, if you guys think I'm doing a good job for you, maybe you guys could leave us a review on Yelp or Google,
right?
And I'd be happy to do that for you for sure, no problem. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's good, man. So, you know, I don't know how it is over there, but, you know, like right now, you know, during the summer, I've got enough work to probably keep 3 or 4 trucks busy. Do you fear that you won't have enough work in the wintertime to keep all your guys busy?
No, I mean, we do have different winters, and fortunately for us, this past winter was a very wet winter.
Right.
So, I don't see that being an issue. You guys know that I have my club membership program,
right,
where we come out and do the preventive maintenance for people. We do that through the months of September, October, November, and March, April, and May.
I got you.
So that during those slow months, my technicians still have something to do. Right. And so then I can keep my hourly guys still out there working. Gives them opportunities to, you know, sell add-ons,
right?
You know, like compressor start kits and flood switches and compressor sound blankets and things like that. They can make a little bit of extra money, you know, $15-$20 at a time for selling stuff like that.
Right.
We did start duct cleaning last year, so
okay. I didn't know you had did that.
Yeah, we went down to Las Vegas and
that's I did see that. Yeah.
Right. Down there, so I spent like $8,000 or something on a new system, you know, and so we're paying that off, obviously.
Right.
And this, you know, so we've got all this, you know, all these emergency calls right now, but in the meantime, we're getting, and we can't really keep up with all the emergency calls right now. But then we're also getting these duct cleaning calls too. So, you know, I have a feeling that all that's still going to be there during the off season.
Well, duct cleaning is definitely a good way to offset the slow winter. You know, that's something I don't do.
Right. But it's very labor intensive.
Right.
It is.
Right. I could see that helping a lot.
Yeah. So I talked to like Mike Miller out in Reno, and and I had the fortune of meeting up with him. I took Melissa and we met him and his wife when they were down here in the Sacramento area. We went out and had dinner. I was like, oh, Mike Miller from Facebook, you're in Sacramento, like, let's meet up, and
Right.
so he told me, like, he's like, duck cleaning's been great for us. We do like such and such business, and it really helps out. So just having that conversation with him made me feel like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm at least gonna pay off the equipment with it, and so it's, we haven't done a ton of jobs, but because we just got it right before summer, and now I have a technician who wants to do it, so that's even better, John.
Right. Okay, so just to clarify, you have 4 trucks on the road. One of them is you, and then you have 3 other guys. I know one of them is Keith. He's been in several of your videos.
Right.
And then you've got 2 new guys, and they're
Travell.
Yeah, Keith. Okay, Keith, and then the other 2 are in the Nissan trucks, and you're in the Dodge.
Yeah, 3 guys are in the Nissan Envies, and I'm in the Dodge. So
Okay.
I sold my Ford F-150.
Right.
That had the. I designed my first truck after you, John.
Yeah, I know. I know that.
Did you notice that? That on the left side of the truck, I had my capacitors.
Right.
And my start kit stuff down, like, because that's how John had his.
Right. Man, I started out of a pickup truck like that with the same boxes, dude, and it did me really well.
It did, man. I just got tired of jumping in the back of that thing and stuff flying out. I don't know if I can cuss on this, but stuff flying.
No, it's all good, man. Yeah.
Stuff flying out on the back of my truck on the highway. It was so scary. One time I saw a 50-foot roll of astrofoil fly off the back of my truck on the freeway. Wow. And I'm like in the middle lane. I'm seeing that thing just unravel, like, and just like fly off the side of the road. I was like,
so did you let it go?
Yeah, I didn't turn around for that thing.
I hear you, man.
It was like, yeah.
Well, look, man, before we keep going, I just want to say congratulations on the success and purchasing the new truck that you did and moving along like you're doing. That's awesome. That's really good.
Good. We go find these vehicles. We find a good deal for them on. We've been checking out on CarGuru.com, and they'll tell you, like, if you type in the truck you're looking for, and they'll tell you what's around. So that last one we had to drive. We had to drive like about 120 miles to go get it. Back to the Bay Area just to go get it, but it was worth it. Great deal on it.
And
great truck.
And you bought all 3 of? Are they used or new?
2 of them are used. One of them was new, and I also have the one new Dodge.
The Dodge, yeah. Okay.
So the plan is to have Keith take over the Dodge eventually,
right?
Because he's really getting good at install and leading jobs and stuff like that.
Right.
Colin, who's my newest hire, also has some install experience. We're gonna put a sheet metal brake on his van,
right?
Because my Dodge has the sheet metal brake, his van will have a sheet metal brake, and then I'll take over something else, and we will hire somebody else in the. I keep saying next summer, but it might be sooner than that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably next summer. So.
Okay. Well, talk to me about this. I saw a post on Facebook, so I made sure to make a note. You are switching to American Standard?
So we're pricing from American Standard, and they were like super excited to try to meet my Rude pricing, or get really close to my Rude pricing. Right. I got those prices today, in an email. I just haven't an estimate, and I came right on with you, so I haven't even seen my American Standard prices.
Right.
But in order to stay with my territory manager that I really enjoy working with, there's a Ferguson side that he is the train dealer with, the train territory manager with. Oh. So that territory manager he's a Ferguson territory manager that handles Rude and train. So he said, wink, wink, get American Standard prices, and then let train try to meet or beat those prices.
Right.
So that we can stay together, and honestly, the manager over at the train store is one of my neighbors here in the neighborhood, and that guy Gene is just like a super sweet, polite guy. He's just super customer service oriented guy, and I would love to work with him. So
that sounds like it might work out.
For a year, I just need to take off of that Rude warehouse. Like maybe that warehouse manager isn't putting me at the front of the line for some particular reason.
Right.
They do have their biggest client is Bell Brothers, and Bell Brothers did 43 million in sales last year.
Wow.
43 million in sales, and their primary equipment is Root.
Right.
So whenever they're late or whenever they can't do something for me, I'm usually hearing, oh, we had to do something with Bell Brothers, you know.
Right, right.
So they're the big giant that me, Keith, Colin, we all used to work for them.
You know? Okay, I got you.
And I've taken off, and they've since come join me.
Right.
You know?
Okay. Well,
that's a whole nother story we could spend an hour on.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so you've grown your company. You're no longer a one-man show like we are and like you were. Still working from the house?
Yes.
Okay. Are there plans to buy or rent a place?
Yeah, we think we can get out sometime within the next year. We can get an office with a garage door and a small warehouse and a small office.
Yeah. You think you
yeah,
might rent something, or are you going to go ahead and purchase something?
I think we're going to rent it, only because we haven't really looked. I haven't really considered anything else.
Right.
We want something
maybe see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to see how close close we can stay to home.
Right.
And there's an industrial area right by our neighborhood that has lots of office complexes in there and garage. It's very industrial.
Right.
And so we think we just want to rent in there. We've already talked to a commercial realtor, and he was able to get us some prices on what those places are renting for. They're about $1,000, you know, for like a small warehouse and a couple offices, air conditioned.
Wow, that's actually not bad for California. I would have figured it'd have been much more than that.
Yeah, they were like $1,000, $1,500. So
that's not bad.
Yeah,
that's about what they go for. That's about what something like that would go for around here, probably. That's not bad at all.
It's not like there's low availability. I mean, there's several closed offices in that complex. So
I
mean, it's not low end. It's not low end by any means. I wouldn't want to put my ladies in the office in that kind of a situation where it was a danger to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my lady staying there all day, working there all day, and maybe even into the night. So that's, security is a big issue when you think about that. So, and there's no place more secure than home. You know?
Yeah. So now that I don't know what you were doing when you were working by yourself, but are you doing flat rate, or are you still doing time and material?
No, we're flat rate. So I base my business model is based off of everything I learned at Bell Brothers.
Gotcha.
So, Kenny and Jerry Bell over there at Bell Brothers, I met those guys. Those guys didn't know me when I worked there. We're 150 employees over there.
Wow.
And every month we'd have like this big employee meeting, right? And Kenny and Jerry be up there at the front, up there by the door where everybody's coming in, and I'd shake their hand, and I just knew he had no idea who I was. I was, you know what I mean? Like, I'm Greg Fox. I'd always be like, Greg Fox, nice to meet you. He's like, oh yeah, I know who you are. You're like,
yeah,
all right, all right. You don't look like you know who I am. So
how's the flat? Do you like the flat rate? It works out good for you.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I lost myself there, but so their business model is basically everything I'm adopting: the club membership, the maintenance program, the spiffs, the commissions, the percentages of commissions that they're giving to their techs that sell equipment, the flat rate pricing. I based it all off of that, and I set it down about 15% off of what their numbers were, just to stay competitive. And I didn't want to be as high as them. And I didn't want to be as low as them. They're raising their price 15% every year.
Wow.
So every 6 months to a year, they're raising their price about 15%. And so a condenser fan motor right now is, in the $800 to $1,000 area. You know what I mean?
For a condenser fan. Wow.
I mean, they're selling, they're pricing things so high that it intimidates people to the point where they make them think that you need to sell buy a new system.
Yeah, that's
And
that's what they're trying to do. Yeah,
that's the goal. You know what I mean? They're doing, an evaporator coil for $3,000.
Wow,
You know what I mean?
wow, that's unbelievable. God,
Just do the alt.
an
Yeah.
evaporator for $3,000. I'm trying to wrap my mind around that.
Right. Right.
Man, that's unbelievable. Okay, I gotta. I wasn't gonna ask you this, but a lot of guys in the Facebook group requested they want to know why you put hard starts on everything.
I put hard starts on everything because I know that it will make your system last longer.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to meet the guy that invented the 521.
Yes, and I know that I think Brian Orr met him like the day before or something
Right.
like that at the same convention.
Yeah.
And it honestly, it was a little weird when he started talking about the ground and the thing with the wiring. I'm not as technical as Brian, so I can't even begin to explain what he was trying to explain to me. But when it comes down to it, I see a compressor as a hard starting engine. And so I explain to people, if your car was broken down in the middle of an intersection, you could probably push the car out of the intersection yourself. But if you've ever done that, it wears the heck out of you. If I came along and helped you push that car out of the intersection, not only would we get out of the intersection faster, but you'd be less tired, and we could probably do it again.
Right.
And that's exactly what a start capacitor is doing. Is it's minimizing the damage. It's minimizing the amount of time that all that damaging heat and energy hits that compressor. If we can just cut that damaging time in half, then that's why we know we can make your compressor last longer.
Yeah,
the compressor start kit is on almost every wiring diagram as an optional item. When you open up the panel and you see the wiring diagram, it's on almost every single piece of equipment as an optional item or a field installed item.
Right.
Why is that? Because the manufacturer knows that the hard start should be in there. The top of the line systems put them in there for theirs. You open up a train or something like that.
I was about to say that. I was about to say
that's like a quality. That's like a quality thing that Train was doing, was making sure that their systems would last a long time.
Right, because when I sold Train for the short time that I did, and you'll learn this that you're transitioning over to either Train or American Standard. When you take that control panel off, it's got a hard start in it from the factory.
Right.
So like I said, no judgment here, brother. I was just guys wanted to know that off.
Oh,
Facebook.
sure. But I just feel like, just to cap that off, I just feel like that manufacturers know that those things will make your system last longer.
Right.
But it's a conflict of interest for them because they want to sell equipment.
Right.
So they'll leave it up to us technicians to go put one in. So
well,
I talked to the technical support guy, Eric Schumann, over there at Rude, and he also agrees.
But that Rude and Ream used to put factory hard starts on the big square units back in the day.
You're right.
Yep.
You're right.
They sure did.
Yep, I see that all the time. And why not anymore? You know, they put them on the 16 series. They put them on the 16 series. I just put in a 16 series package unit the other day. 2 heat, 2 cool, and I went to go put in the hard start. I'm like, oh, it's already there. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know why they do it on some and don't on others, but I'm like you. I'm definitely a fan of the 521. That's all I carry on the truck.
Right. Yeah.
But I tell you what, man, I've really had a good time talking to you. Answer this question.
We have so much to talk about, John.
Where do you see Fox Family Heating and Air in 5 years?
Ooh, in 5 years? I mean, I was thinking we were going to sell $1 million in 1 year, and that's been like a big goal. I was thinking by year 4 or 5 we would sell $1 million, but I know that we're going to do that next year. So in 5 years from now, we better be at 5 million. So yeah, I really think we can get there. So, whatever. I feel like we have a really good business model. I also feel like I'm hiring the right people. Like I'm hiring the people that I want to send into people's houses. I have a really good understanding of who we're catering to. Who
Right.
are the people that are calling our companies? The people that are calling our companies are typically going to be, you know, um, women, uh, and probably like anywhere from 30 to 60 type women. They want an if they're calling Fox Family, it's because they are actively searching for a company name that makes them feel like a trustworthy company is coming out to their
Right.
house. And that's the image that we're trying to convey with our logo, with our fast, honest, friendly you know uh, phrase there.
Right.
And we're just trying to live that and be different. I don't want to be A&M Heating and Air. I don't want to be P&Q Heating and Air.
Right.
I don't want to be Fox Heating and Air. I want to be Fox Family Heating and Air Conditioning. I want people to want us in their house.
Right.
And so that's how I'm trying to be different and make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. How far are you going to take the growing? Do you have a number in your head? Okay, my game plan is to get this many trucks on the road, or are you just going to kind of see how things play out? Or
Yeah, I think I'm just going to kind of see how things play out.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly want to get to a point where I don't have to be a technician in the field anymore.
Right.
That is a goal of mine. You ask Melissa, and Melissa would still love to see me out in the field a little bit, visiting, showing up in people's houses, because she feels like I'm the kind of person they want in that house.
Right.
She, and she's got a point. Fact is, I just don't want to be out in the field, doing the installs, doing all that. It's hard work. The stuff we do is hard work.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just trying to plan for the future. I'd love to be at cruise control someday, where Melissa and I, we've got managers, we've got people we're delegating work to, so that they're handling all that stuff. And I think the people that we're going to hire in the future, people like Keith, people like Colin, are going to take on those challenges and make life a lot easier for us. She's going to have to delegate. She's going to have to delegate eventually. She's going to have to delegate bookkeeping and accounting and data entry off to other people. She's amazing at that. I don't know how she does it so well, but she is really good at that. But someday she's going to have to delegate that off to somebody else and
Right.
be a man, be
Yeah.
a business owner,
Yeah.
So, and same for us, same for me. So,
Well, I tell you what, man, I think you'll do it. I've talked to you a few times, through the Hangouts and all that. I watch your videos. I can tell that you definitely have the desire.
yeah.
Because see, I don't have the desire to get anything like that, and I'm okay with that, But I wouldn't succeed at it because I don't have the desire. But
okay.
but you do, I could see it, just by sitting here talking to you. So I think you're going to do just fine, and you're going to succeed at what you want to do, and I applaud you for that.
Well, I appreciate it. And, Ralph called me last year about this time, I think. Maybe, I don't know. He called me last year, and, I was like, I had no idea what I had no idea how much a one-man kind of show should even be selling in a year. And,
Right.
and I'm like, Ralph, how much did you sell last year? What should I be striving for in 1 year of sales? And he's like,
Right.
well, so being able to talk to Ralph, kind of let me know, okay, this is what a one-man company can make. And then so I was like, I just want to get there. Halfway through that year, though, I ended up hiring Keith on,
Right.
and then so we ended up surpassing that number by a good amount. So and then this year, we had set this year we ended up setting a goal, and we just we're already there. We already beat the goal for this year.
Right.
So the rest of it's just kickback. So
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's
yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's fantastic.
We definitely had no idea that it was going to take off like this.
Right. Well, that's always a good thing. It could be the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, John? The fact is, Sacramento summers are a sure bet.
Right.
Sacramento winters are not a sure bet. Sometimes they're just super mild. Back east, you guys had a really mild winter, right? Like really wasn't all
Oh
that
yeah,
great,
you
right?
can't even
Like,
call it a winter.
oh man,
I think I did 2 no heat calls all winter.
yeah, and that puts you in a bind, man.
Oh yeah.
So and that's gonna, that can very well happen. I've been doing this for 7 years, and after 5.5 years I went on my own, but those first 5 years that I was installing and doing service and everything, it got me, let me have a good glimpse of what winters are like and how slim they can be. And if it's just raining, we're gonna get work. So
Right.
and rain isn't a huge thing here in the California Valley.
Yeah.
So,
I tell you, man, you did a good video. You and Keith and your wife went to Las Vegas to the HVACR show.
oh yeah, right,
Or whatever it's called.
right.
Was that like did the video do it no justice? I mean, was it awesome?
To me, it really was, because it's huge in there, right? Like these huge warehouses that are like 5 stories tall, and I mean, even the ductwork in those warehouses, those halls are amazing. I don't know if you ever go to those convention centers, John, and you look up and you're like, God damn, that trunk is like bigger than me.
Yeah, yeah,
it's huge.
yeah.
It's taller than me. But so after you get over the ductwork and the HVAC stuff, then you look down. There's Carrier, there's Train, there.
Right.
Rude's got this site up. They got a whole semi truck in there, and the just going around. I mean, I think we walked 6.5 miles the first day.
Wow.
Because I'm a little pedometer on there, so we did 6.5 miles the first day, and we did like 5.5 miles the second day.
Yeah.
And it was just, the second day we ended up kind of going back and revisiting some places that we had seen the day before that we really wanted to see again. But I'm pretty sure we saw all of it. And I saw some other contractors from the Sacramento area. I saw them, just, I don't know. I don't know if you still do it, John, but I see people and I feel like they're always talking good, like everything's amazing with them, and just business is so good, and I try to be real about it, and I'm like, man, I wonder, is my business really doing that good? Because they're making it sound like they're winning jobs, hand over fist in the off season,
right?
It's like, all right, well, that's cool,
I want to go to one of those shows so bad, but I just wasn't able to pull off Vegas this year. But
Chicago next year, I believe.
It is. I'm gonna have to skip that one too, but I think I'll be able to make 2019. It's gonna be in Atlanta.
I'll meet you there.
I like that. I know Ralph's gonna go because Ralph lives right outside of Atlanta.
Yeah, I'll definitely go to that, man.
Okay, because I've already made plans.
When it's in the South, I know all you guys are gonna go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you definitely gonna have Ralph there because he lives about 45 minutes from Atlanta. I'm gonna go because Atlanta's doable for me.
Yeah,
and you got a good shot at seeing Zach there. And,
I think so.
And Chuck Pierce from Comfort Plus, and
his hat.
Yeah,
his hat.
exactly.
Yes, I love that guy, man.
Oh yeah,
he did a great job buying his building, huh?
He really did.
He bought his building and brought it up to code and everything, and and is running his. That's a good find right there for Chuck. Man.
Yeah,
I'm proud of him. Good videos. I like watching his videos.
Oh yeah, man. Chuck's a really good guy. And
but if we could all meet in 2019, man, I want that to happen, man.
Yeah, I mean that's the ultimate goal. I've met Ralph, and that's it. I've never met Zach in person. Even though we do the cowboy thing, I've never met him in person.
Oh, is that right?
No, I've never met Zach in person, and I've never met Chuck or none of them. So yeah, I mean we've always talked about trying to find a way to do this.
We're gonna see Zach one day, and we're gonna be like, whoa, there's Zach.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
I didn't know you were so tall.
Well, see, I've met Ralph, and no, they can't see us doing, because this is a podcast, not a video. But when we all know Ralph is short, but you don't know how short Ralph is till you actually meet him.
Whoa, really? Are we talking like Michael J. Fox size or?
No, but I mean, I'm 6 foot, 6'1", somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay. I'm 5'10".
Yeah, Ralph's probably about 5'7".
Okay.
Yeah. So
it's like my dad's size. It's like my dad's size.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put my armor on him. Hey.
So, are you still doing any 407C Guardian units from the York store?
Yeah, absolutely. I tried to sell one yesterday. The guy that I was selling to, the guy that I was pitching that to, that's the estimate I was on tonight before I got here. Okay. He's like the general manager of one of the local news channels here in Sacramento.
Right.
So, I mean, first of all, just to even have the chance to be selling this guy some equipment, and he signed up on our club membership program, but his compressor went out, and his fan motor had just gone out before that.
Right.
So he wants to take the money he put towards the fan and put it towards the cost of a new system. So right. that's how I roll. Like, yeah, we'll take that money and we'll put it towards the cost of a new system. So we started talking about 407C unit, and he wanted to know. He's kind of a brand name guy, so he was like, well, who makes this 407C unit?
Right.
And I was like, well, it's York, and
it ain't it is a York with a Guardian sticker.
Yeah, it's a York. I said it's got the brand name of Guardian on it.
Yeah.
I said it's actually a really good unit. Like, it's got a good contactor, a good capacitor. It's got a Mars 440 capacitor in it. It's got a good condenser fan motor and a Copeland scroll compressor. So
the only downside to that unit is the micro channel coil. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Because I've got about a handful of them out there. But
have you had any issues?
No, knock on wood, I haven't had any issues. None whatsoever.
And I haven't had any issues either. I've got a neighbor 2 doors down that I would hear it from if his system went down. I put a 407C in his house because he was in a bind, and he is completely happy with his cooling right now. We've had tons of 105, 106 degree days. I tried to sell one to a gentleman the other day. It was a rental property, and he was just researching everything online. He was like, well, it's got microchannel,
right?
And I'm not sure I want a piece of equipment that's got microchannel in my house. I've heard bad things online about it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you probably have heard bad things online about it, but I have put this system in, these systems in, and I haven't heard a peep from anybody. I mean, it's a very small percentage that you're having issues with the microchannel. I mean, if that's how you feel, I totally get it. But this particular guy from today, he wants to go with a new system. He wants a whole new system. Yeah. He's got a 28-year-old Amana up in the attic.
Wow.
28-year-old coil that the primary pan is leaking water down in the secondary drain pan.
Right.
So for him, a 407C unit is not probably a good idea to do because he's going to be changing his evap coil out pretty soon as well.
Right.
So
let me ask you this, Greg. The only issue I have with them is they're expensive over here. Are they pricey? Really? Are those 407C units pricey where you're at? I mean, dude,
I'm selling 5 tons for $3,700.
Well, that sounds about right. But let me give you an example. I got a quote on a 2-ton 407C unit the other day for a rent house.
Yeah.
My York store quoted me $1,100.
Yeah, I don't know what the sale price of mine is, but that does seem a little bit high. It seems a couple $100 high for that.
Yeah, because I mean, I can buy obviously a 410 unit in 2 tons for $700.
Right.
That's the only problem I have is that they're expensive over here.
Let me see if I can pull that up, John. I see what my price is on my phone here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only issue I have. The microchannel hasn't failed me yet on these, but it's the price, man. I mean, these things are expensive.
Okay, John, my 1.5 ton is 906.
Right.
My 2 ton is 956.
Oh man, yeah, you got me beat big time.
My 5 ton is 1485.
Man, and they wanted $1,100 for a 2 ton.
So maybe the prices went up a little bit.
Yeah.
For the Guardian, but
Who's your York distributor?
U.S. Air Conditioning.
Oh yeah, see, we don't have that here. Um,
Yeah.
but then again, the supply house that handles York over here, they're pretty pricey on everything, so that could explain it too.
Yeah, and that's that it's the same with like I feel like it's the same with carrier stuff around here. It's just like
Right.
for some reason that Stigler the distributor is just like crazy high pricing for their
Yeah.
stuff. I'm just like whatever, then
Yeah.
I won't be doing. There's two pieces of equipment I won't sell, and that's Carrier and Goodman. So
Yeah, I hear you.
I just won't touch it. I mean, it's no offense to anybody, but I just
Yeah. Well,
Juan Valdivino.
Well, yeah. I mean, hey, it is what it is, man. To everybody to each their own. I just wish that somebody else would come out with a 407C unit besides York.
Yeah, and I talked to Rude, and I was trying to get them to do it, and I don't know, man. 410's on its way out. 410's going to eventually be on its way out here.
That's what they keep saying, man.
And I feel like they're going to end up I feel like they're going to come down in pressures, back down. I feel like they're going to come back down to something like 407C.
Yeah.
And I think that's a super smart move for the industry. We'll have less leaks. We'll have less issues with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I was just informed where I get my ICP stuff, it's also the Ream supply house. So I'm a dealer for both. Ream and Rude are bringing back the Weather King line.
Yeah, I have it out here. I have it for my rental property. I have rental pricing.
Yep.
Property management pricing for Weather King. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're putting me together a price book right now for when I have to go do a flip house because I do work for a couple flippers here. I got two guys that like to flip houses.
Perfect.
and they want the cheap of the cheap.
Yeah.
And then I got like I'm trying to count here. I've got like 4 or 5 guys that I do work for that have like a bunch of rental property, and they want the cheap of the cheap.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, I totally have to dive down. I totally have to take off about 30% on my install pricing just to meet property management and rental demand.
Yeah.
Because they'll just go out and get somebody cheaper. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, you might not make as much, but it's better to make something than nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just make sure you're selling more at regular retail price than you're selling at property management. Otherwise, you're going out of business. So
absolutely.
When you offer somebody regular retail equipment, do you offer people like a good, better, best scenario? Do you offer 14, 15, a 16 SEER, or like on my split systems, I'll go 14, 16, 17 SEER, and a 20 SEER.
Right.
So I got like a bronze, silver, gold, platinum package. And then they'll usually end up picking something from the middle, From what I understand, a small percentage of the people will pick that cheapest option.
Right.
Your about 83% of the people will pick those two middle pieces of equipment, and then about 7% will pick the highest, the premium.
I used to not do that, Greg. I would just pitch the 14 SEER and sell it.
Right.
But I have wanted to succeed more, and because I'm a huge fan of the inverter technology. Yeah. So now I do. Anytime I price a change out for somebody, I give them 3 quotes: 14 SEER, 16 SEER, and inverter.
Okay.
And most of the time they pick the 16 SEER.
That's right.
Because
I learned, that's one of the things I learned at one of the recent seminars I went to was they said that 10% will pick the cheapest brand, the cheapest option, 83% will pick the middle option, and 7% will pick the premium option.
There you go.
Because there are just those people. There's that small amount of people that will take the premium, and then there's those 10% of people who want nothing but the cheapest.
I started the 3 pricing thing this summer. Was the first time I did it.
You started selling more 16 SEER.
Exactly, and I've sold 1 inverter.
And that's right. I saw that.
Yep. So, out of a few months, I've done a shit ton of 16 SEER. I've done a few 14 SEERs and 1 inverter. So, It seems to
Yeah.
be working because I'm moving more 16 sear now than I am 14.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems
So
to
I
be
told
working.
when I first started out, I was totally just like that. It seemed like that first year, or I don't know, I just kind of adopted this this past 6 months or so. But I'm just trying to offer. I'm trying to. What can I do to make my company different than other people? So we're gonna figure out whether we want the 14, the 16, the 17, or the 20, and then once they figure out what option they want to go with, then I hit them with, well, here's what makes us different, because you can get
Right.
this 14 series system, or you can get this 16 series system from Joe down the street as well. And I have a competitive price, but here's what else I'm going to offer. And this is what I feel like is bringing me up. I'm always installing, unless they tell me differently, I'm always installing a Honeywell 9000 Wi-Fi thermostat, because that is the thing that they're going to see on the wall.
Right.
That little thing on the wall is what they're going to see when they go to turn on their air conditioner, or when they're walking down the hall, is that well lit up, beautiful display on that Honeywell 9000.
You can't ask for a better stat. That's actually the stat I have on my house.
That's Consumer Reports #1 thermostat is the 9000 series. The one they said is the highest is the one that you can voice interact with.
Right.
But Nest and Ecobee and all those are rated pretty low on that Consumer Reports
I don't like
list.
them.
So,
I don't like them.
So I'm installing that. I'm installing compressor sound blankets on all of my new systems, because the 14 and the 16 and the 17 series don't come with a compressor sound blanket. But I'm gonna also include in your installation. I'm gonna bring the noise level of that already pretty quiet brand new system.
Right.
It's already pretty quiet, but I'm gonna bring the noise level of that down by about 45%. And literally, John, when you turn that 17 seer on, or that 16 seer on, hell, even the 14 seer, if you're not 10 feet away from that thing, if you're more than 10 feet away from that thing, you're not hearing it. You can barely hear the fan going.
Yeah, I mean,
so the noise level.
That inverter I did was unbelievable.
Oh yeah, and it comes with a sound blanket on it already,
right.
Probably, right?
Oh yeah.
But but to hear that thing start up, and it's just like,
yeah.
You're like, wow, that. And so that's what I'm hearing on the 17 series, the 16 series, and the 14 series that I'm putting in too, is I'm just hearing the fan, and people are loving that. And that's some extra value that I can include on their on these installs. So that's another thing that I'm trying to do. It's like a Fox Family Extra that we're putting into your install if you choose us.
Right.
And then the other thing that I offer is the compressor start kit. I just go ahead and put that thing in there, because if not, one of my techs is going to try and sell it to you in 1 or 2 years.
Right.
So let's just do it now, because I know that that's going to help your system last longer. When we put your system in, we have a 10-year parts warranty. Every equipment maker has a 10-year warranty.
Right.
20-year heat exchanger, or a lifetime heat exchanger, whatever that particular unit is. But we're also going to offer 2 years labor warranty and 2 years of preventive maintenance for you up front. Right. So if you'll continue so we're going to come out and do those maintenance for you in the spring and the winter. And then here's the kicker. If you'll just continue having us come out and do the maintenance, and our maintenance program is $131.40 for the year. If you just continue that maintenance from years 3 through 10, we'll pull your labor all the way out to 10 years, as long as you're having the maintenance done on it, and that system that system breaks in the first 10 years, you won't pay a dime.
Right.
And this is stuff that we have to do to separate ourselves from the other guys, to bring our value level up, and that's how they're going to start choosing up.
I tell you what I started doing. I have started putting the 5-inch media filter on just about every change out that I do.
Okay.
And customers love them.
Do you go back and change those for no charge, or do you charge them?
I charge them, just the price of the filter, and it's part of their maintenance, because you only have to change that filter once a year.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So, or every 6 months, but I go for a spring and fall checkup. So I date the filter, and then I'll check it, within 6 months. And if it's not dirty enough, I'll put it back in. But they usually last about a year. But I know you said earlier in the podcast that, you were still a fan of the 2-stage stuff, but I do want to let you know that most manufacturers are starting to phase out their 2-stage equipment because of the inverter technology.
I bet.
Carrier and
Yeah.
ICP have already started phasing out their 2-stage because anything non-single stage is going to be an inverter now. Because I can buy an inverter system cheaper than a 2-stage. Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I know my 2-stage is, well, with Rude, my 2-stage is still considerably less than the price of the inverter. But that would be interesting. I mean, I can see why. I know over at American Standard they have the 14 SEER, the 16 SEER, the 17 SEER, which is a 2-stage,
Right.
and then they have an 18 SEER, which is their first level of inverter system, and then 20 SEER, which is their premium inverter system. So maybe that 18 is going to take over the 17 here pretty soon, and they'll just phase all that out.
That's what I'm thinking, because I know Carrier and the ICP brands have already started phasing out their 2-stage equipment. They're going strictly inverter. Anything above single stage.
I was picking I have a zone system, and so the reason why I wanted to stay with the 2-stage system is because then I can throw in a new zone board. I can throw in a Honeywell zone board, and I can stage my zones based off of the percentage of zones. So you can go into the settings there, and you can so if just one floor is calling, then just first stage comes on. If both floors call, then the zone board will kick in both second stage, and now you can cool upstairs and downstairs at the same time.
Right. Well, you can do the same thing with an inverter, because you got to remember, an inverter, it goes from 1% to 100%. So
right, but Rude says that they don't have zone capabilities yet.
Oh, well, that's not good, because Carrier and ICP and Training American Standard, they have zoning capability.
Is that right?
Oh, absolutely.
That might change my mind there.
Train American Standard, Carrier, ICP, which is Carrier and ICP is the same thing. They have zoning capability built into the system.
So you got your two communicating thermostats communicating with a smart zone board up there?
Yeah, you use their zone board, and you can set the zones up on the thermostat.
Is it a zone board? Is like its own mini router or something up there that you set up?
Man, I'm not really sure, Greg, because that's one thing we don't have here in Louisiana is zoning. I've only seen like 2 zone systems here. So I'm not a zone expert at all.
Almost everything's zoned out here. All these story homes and everything.
I am not by any means a zone expert. Now, if you want to get some good advice about zoning with the inverter stuff, you get back on the phone with Ralph. Ralph is very good at zoning. And
nice.
He can tell you a lot more than I can, because I don't really know anything about zoning, but I do know that Carrier and ICP and Train American Standard do have that capability built into their inverter communicating systems.
Are you getting the training from your distributor that you're looking for, like during the off season or maybe during your slow time? Are you getting the training? Because that was another factor that played into me switching from Rude over to anybody else who will just teach us some stuff, like
anytime during the off season, we're constantly having training on all kind of stuff. And they take us fishing, hunting, or they'll just send you on a vacation or whatever.
This one of the reasons why I was going to switch over to American Standard was it's not Ferguson, and it wouldn't be with my territory manager that I'm so favorable of, but the American Standard distributor, they sell solar panels, and I'm very interested in selling solar when I'm at the kitchen table selling equipment.
Right.
So that conversation comes up with me, quite often. It's like, do you guys do solar too? And it's like, no, we don't do solar, but I'd love to be this guy, the sales manager over there, and he's a salesman. Let me tell you, he is slick, dude. But he says that he can train us how to sell solar, and if we want to put it in ourselves, he can train us how to do it. And if we want to just sub it out to another company to have them install it, and we just take our little fair share of it, we can do that as well.
Right.
But they're willing to teach us that. And if I don't, if I don't go with them, then I'm not going to learn that stuff. And I feel like that's some money I'm going to be missing out on. And
Right.
I want to learn that,
Yeah.
I want to learn that stuff. So
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the more you can learn, the better. That's for sure. But yeah. I look forward to seeing what happens with you as far as trainer American Standard.
I do too, John. I have it's all going to happen this week too. So
Yeah.
by Monday, I'm going to know for sure whether I'm going train or American Standard. I'd hate to. I really like my territory manager, Greg Zapata. He's a super funny dude, and he's actually really entertaining. He'll pick up the phone Sunday night at 8 p.m. if I've got a question.
Right.
And I don't know of anybody else that will do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to leave that would be a bummer. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right. Yeah, man. It's a tough decision, but you got to do what you got to do. That's one thing I've learned. You got to deal with who is going to take care of you, and not worry so much about equipment brand.
Because I can sell anything. I
Right.
can sell anything. Guaranteed.
Right.
I've been doing it for a year and a half, so I've been doing just fine.
I mean,
Root.
because at the
People
point,
looking at me going, who's Root? I've never heard of that.
yeah. I mean, I have a reputation. A lot of, if you go back to some of my earlier videos, I was selling a bunch of different brands. Because I was worried about brand. But one thing I learned really quickly was to stop worrying about brand and worry about who's going to take care of you. And my supply house takes care of me. I really love Carrier and ICP equipment, so it's a win-win.
I learned that first from reading Ron Smith's book, HVAC Spells Wealth, when he switched over from Carrier to GE at the time, which is now Train.
Right.
But he said it just happened overnight. Something wasn't right about his Carrier distribution, and they were trying to stick it to him like, no, we're Carrier, we're the big guys. And he just overnight went over and talked to GE and Train and just switched over.
Yeah.
And he says, you know what? It doesn't matter what equipment you sell. You're selling your company,
Yeah, I mean, because when I'm pitching a sale, I never mention brand unless they ask. Yep. And 90% of the people don't even ask, what I'm installing. So.
Yeah. It does come up. People are always, I feel like everybody asks me, and then I'll say, well, we sell Rude products. And
I can imagine in California it would come up more than Louisiana. Because down here, most people are laid back old Southern country people, and they really just don't care. They just want some cooling, and 90% of the people, 90% of the people don't even ask me, what I'm installing, because they trust me. So
because they trust John Israel,
right?
And whatever system he wants to put in is the one that's right for me.
Right. That's exactly.
I trust
right.
this guy.
Yep.
Totally.
Well, Greg,
good stuff, man.
Yeah, Greg, this has been a blast. I believe that's all I got for you. But, man, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to join me here on the podcast. I really, really appreciate it.
I'm humbled. I appreciate the opportunity to come on with you and just hang out with you for what we're an hour here. So
yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was a good time, man. Again, thank you so much, Greg.
Thanks, man.
Sporlan Smart Pro R service tools are specifically developed to meet the needs of refrigeration technicians. All the benefits of our original kit, plus the Smart Pro R tools allow temperature readings down to minus 40 degrees, fit any diameter pipe, allow multi-coil superheat readings, and 10 times the signal strength. Find out more at sporlanonline.com.